bad girl for not going to my dad's house in an emergency where his 5-year-old stepdaughter was left at home on her own? My dad's got 2 stepkids from his wife, aka the woman he cheated on my mum with. His wife's oldest is 14 and she's from her first marriage. She cheated on the 14-year-old's dad with the 5-year-old's dad, and the 14-year-old hates the 5-year-old because of it. And I care about none of them because I only go to my dad's house against my will. I just turned 17, by the way, and before people ask, the courts would not let me stop going to dad's house. My mum could lose custody to my dad if I don't go, or I leave and go to her house after being made go to dad's. 50-50 has to stay in place until I turn 18. That's just the fucked up way it is. My dad knows I hate going to his house. He tries to fix what he broke, but he broke it so good he can't unbreak it. He knows I can't stand his wife, and that I don't want to pretend I'm someone's brother while I'm there, since he tries to put the 5-year-old's rejection by her half-sister onto me and expects me to make up for that. I left my dad's house yesterday morning because mum's parenting time started. My dad and his wife were leaving her daughter's home together, but the 14-year-old went to her friend's house and left the 5-year-old on her own. My dad and his wife were at work. His wife got a text from her friend's parents saying the 14-year-old made it safely. She and dad were texting all freaked, and he called me and told me to go and stay with the 5-year-old until someone came home. But I refused, and he tried to get my mum to make me do it, but she refused. His wife tried to make the 14-year-old go back too, but she didn't, and the 5-year-old was on her own for hours before his wife just left work. Then, when my dad got home, he sent so many texts and called a bunch of times, and I didn't answer. But he was like, "How could you do that? She needed you. She's only a kid and stuff." The thing is, I don't care. That's not a problem for me to fix. I'm not their babysitter, and I'm not a willing part of their family, if you could even call them that. Am I a bad girl? I don't care what he thinks, but I did think a little about the 5-year-old, and I know it sucks for her. Am I a bad girl for refusing to testify for my sister in her false arrest and racial discrimination case? My sister is a LEO, law enforcement officer, aka cop, in another state. She's being sued for false arrest, imprisonment, and racial discrimination. There's a lot of people that try to sue LEOs, and it doesn't usually hold water, or the case is dismissed. This case does, though. I've seen the chest cams and transcript, and it's damning. It shows her approaching the victim, putting them in cuffs, and in the back of the patrol car with no explanation. Why? Because of their skin color. When confronted by her superiors later about her conduct, she dismisses them and says the victim is close enough. There's more to the case, but it's textbook racial discrimination and false arrest. My dad and I were talking recently, and he mentioned the case to me. He said her case is moving forward to a jury trial and suggested I write a letter to the judge talking about her character in a positive light. Furthermore, he told me I should testify for her on how good of a person she is. But I know my sister well. She's been racist for years and has horrible character. She lied about being SA'd for attention, naming men she didn't like, was a known bully in school, never takes accountability, never lets anything go, gaslights others, etc. She's an awful human being, to say the least. I found out about this lawsuit through my husband Googling my sister out of curiosity. My sister and I have historically had a very tense relationship, and for over a year now she hasn't reached out or responded to me. I had a traumatic birth and very hard postpartum journey, and not once has she reached out to congratulate me, ask how I'm doing, or to inquire about her niece. So looping back, when my dad told me this stuff, I got mad. Why wouldn't my sister reach out to me versus my dad? I don't have her blocked and she knows my number, so why play telephone? So I told my dad that unless there's a court order/mandate, I'm not doing anything for her. I'm not writing a letter to talk about her character in a positive light, since I don't believe her to be a good person at all. And furthermore, this is the consequences of her actions. My dad is livid with me. He's a former LEO himself and holds the mentality that LEOs stick together and that regardless of what's happened, families should support each other. I don't hold that belief. Instead, that if anything illegal/immoral happens, I'm not here for you. My dad believes I'm being a bad girl, and that because deep down she's a good person and because she's my sister, I should vouch for her in this lawsuit. Edit to add, I don't understand how this process works. I'm just going off of what my dad told me. I'll mention the perjury aspect to my dad. I don't think he cares because, again, LEOs stick together, but whatever. And my dad is also extremely racist. A bad girl for refusing to do the dishes and clean up after my brother's kids? This has been an ongoing thing since around 2021. I, 18, friends female, have an older brother, 28 male, who has 2 kids. He still lives at home and has his kids 50-50. My brother tends to make a mess when making his kids food or uses a bunch of unnecessary dishes throughout one day. At one point, I had to wash his dishes at least 3 times, and he has 6 bowls, 6 plates, and 3 cups. Think of that. It was 45 dishes used in one day, and when he is finally done, instead of washing his own dishes, he leaves them in there and hides in his room until my mom gets fed up of the mess and calls me to clean the dishes. I, unlike him, have a life, so I usually do it just so I don't get my going out privileges taken away since I'm still in school. So today I hit my breaking point. I was taking a nap because I had been working out under the sun, and my dad comes in and wakes me up saying I have to help him clean up the kitchen. I calmly say, I just cleaned up after his kids last night. Everything in that sink is his mess that he made today because I made sure that kitchen was clean before I went to bed. My dad, being the awesome man he is, said it didn't matter and to just go help him. As I'm getting up, I hear my brother say, I'm putting the dishes away to make it known to my parents that he will not be washing the dishes. So, as I'm walking out, he is halfway through putting them away. Mind you, I had gotten up right after my dad left my room. I look and I say, I'm not doing those dishes. That's his mess and his kids' mess. He looks at me and says, Mom told you to clean the kitchen. When I told him that he had mentioned plates that weren't on the table when I went to bed the previous night, and we kept going back and forth about me not cleaning up after his kids. He uses the fine then let mom yell at you card, and at this point I don't care because I shouldn't have to pick up after them. Now he's gone and texted my parents complaining that I won't clean up after his kids. And I will probably get yelled at, but it is not my fault he can't learn to clean up after them. I'm tired of it. Sorry, this has been a lot and I just needed to get it off my chest, but also I really want to know, am I really the asshole for not wanting to wash the dishes that he dirtied? Edit to add, my brother has never been married but has a girlfriend, and she does not put up with the laziness. When she is over, she makes sure he cleans. I don't understand why he changes the second she isn't over. Am I a bad girl for reaching out and asking why none of my so-called family kept me out of foster care? When I, 20 youth mil, was 5, my parents were in an accident and my dad died. My mom survived, but she was left with a severe TBI and brain damage so bad that she has never recovered from it, and she is in a medical facility getting around-the-clock care. My parents had a plan in place for my maternal grandparents to take me if something would ever happen to them. This was agreed on by my grandparents at the time. That wasn't what happened. I was supposed to be with them, but they wanted my half-siblings in their life instead, and they chose to let me go into foster care, and so did all my other extended family, on both sides. And I know the reason is because my parents cheated on my half-siblings, other parents, with each other, and made me. I know it was messy before and after I was born, but I always hated knowing that nobody wanted me. I felt so worthless for years, so abandoned and gross. 5-year-old me didn't really understand then. I'd heard the fights, and it didn't make sense to me back then. It was when I got older and I remembered those fights again that I processed what it meant. But I still didn't think it should mean nobody in the 4 living grandparents and 9 living aunts and uncles would take me in. Except that's what happened. I had no contact with any of them. Not any of my half-siblings or my grandparents or my aunts and uncles. Not cousins either. I never got adopted or found a permanent foster placement either. I wasn't allowed to go see my mom too. I know she's not the same, but I asked so many times as a kid and it was always denied. When I left foster care, I considered reaching out and asking questions, but I knew I wanted to wait to be in a better place in case I was met with just endless hate. I ended up reaching out in March/April and I DM'd every relative I could find on social media. My half-siblings told me to fuck off and die. I got a reply from one aunt on one side and an uncle who lived with my grandparents on the other. and I was basically asked by all of them why I was reaching out and trying to shame them for making the decision right for them, and did I know what they had to lose by taking me in. It confirmed that my half-siblings wanted nothing to do with anyone who kept me, that the grandparents who said they'd take me never intended to and always knew they'd let Mom down in the end, so they lied and left my parents thinking I'd be taken care of instead of giving them the chance to ask someone else.